Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Church Guys Podcast. I'm Brett. I'm the firefighter.
I'm Quentin. I'm the student.
I'm Craig. I'm the pastor.
I'm DJ, and I'm the IT guy.
And we are the Church Guys.
Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for joining our Christmas special episode. We're going to be talking about an array of things today. A little bit of college football, some drama that went around the Heisman finalists and the ending on that. Some players that are declaring for the NFL draft and some that are actually staying home. Also talking about some NFL drama going on, some picks that we think is going to happen, and then some playoff previews as well. And then lastly, and most importantly, we're going to be talking about the reason for the season, Jesus Christ, and his purpose and how he came to save us all.
If you're listening in, you're going to notice that there's one voice that's not with us. Brett is off this episode. Figured it was going to be for Baby Watch, but he's had some other things come up. He's fine. We miss you, buddy. Wish you were here with us.
We missed your loud voice.
It's going to be awkwardly quiet in here because he takes over the room, but he's a good guy. We miss him. Pray for a speedy recovery. We're going to get into some college football that has happened Friday, Saturday, and Monday, which, well, actually, that'll be happening. Well, has that game already happened? What is today? Today's Tuesday. So, yeah, it happened.
Marshall won, it looks like.
These are AKA the nobody really cares bowl games.
That's exactly right.
I mean,
the Poulon Weed Eater Bowl. What in the world?
I mean, I figured you might care about the UNT Boise State game.
No, they lost.
Man,
they were winning the whole game and got beat.
The most important game on here looks like UTSA and Troy.
Yeah, I actually watched that game. That was a good game.
That was a good game.
That was a very good game.
Jeff Traylor.
They had a chance to do it and didn't do it.
Florida and Oregon State.
That was a blowout.
Yeah, that wasn't even anything.
Like you said, no-name bowls.
But also, I heard a lot of people in Florida opted out because they were going to the draft or transfer.
They did have tons sitting out of that game.
I think they quit on Napier already.
Yeah, they have.
Honestly.
I don't think he's going to be a bad coach.
No, he's not. But you got to wade through all their trash, just like Texas did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell they were just there. That none of their players really cared the outcome of what happened. And I mean, if you got as many people out as they did,
yeah, and
you get it in your head that, well, we don't have these players, so we're not going to be any good, then you're not going to go out and perform at 100%. So,
and I think what we're talking about today, these no-name who cares bowls, are the result of playoff system that we've sort of got.
Yep.
Instead of a real playoff system, and it's made everything irrelevant.
Man, I tell you, speaking of playoff systems, I have been keeping up with the FCS.
Yeah, D2. Solid in it.
Man, that playoff system is amazing. I'm like,
playoff system.
D2 has got it going on. Why can't D1? Exactly. Why can't D1 do that?
Because all these no-name bowls.
It's ridiculous.
Money.
It's absolutely
I don't know.
ridiculous.
I feel like they'd make more money in that kind of setting instead of this setting.
But who makes the money? It's not the no-name people.
Yeah.
It's only the higher-ups that make the money anyway.
That's true.
That's what they don't want to do.
I watched a couple of games. Like, I didn't know who the teams were. The game was kind of a snooze fest, but still, I mean,
it's good background.
They're playing for heart, man. They
are. They absolutely are.
No scholarship.
Like, there was, I think, one team. Like I said, I don't remember who it was. It was just me flipping through TV, and I was like, Hudson was sitting beside me. Oh, look, football. So we watched the football game.
There you go.
And
South Dakota State, was it that one? I was watching part of that one.
Maybe that's what it was, because they mentioned like 10 or 15 players were like vying for scholarships for next year.
Yeah.
I was like, why don't they have scholarships already? But apparently these kids just happened to walk on, earned a starting spot, and now they have to prove that they deserve a scholarship, because if they don't get a scholarship, they're done after this year.
Very cool.
So there's that with the no-name bowls. The bigger ones kick off this week.
Christmas week, man.
Liberty plays tonight against Toledo in the Boca.
Go Flames.
Boca Raton roofclaim.com bowl.
Like I said, Poulon.
I think that's what it's called. I just know it's in Boca Raton.
Cheez-It bowls, whatever.
So their social media has been blowing up. It's been fun to see that. So I wish I could have gone down there.
Is Coach Freeze already gone, or is he coaching a bowl game?
I think he's gone already in Auburn.
Yeah, I think he's gone already. He's already in Auburn.
I think they have an interim coach.
Yeah, the offensive coordinator has bumped up to interim until...
That's always kind of cheesy.
Till Jamie
Chadwell,
takes over next year.
which is going to be awesome, I think.
Excited about
It'll be
that.
fine. It'll be a good transition.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling Quentin earlier. Because Chadwell's leaving Coastal Carolina, their starting quarterback has entered the transfer portal. So
He could
Never
come.
know.
You never know.
I'm like, please come to Liberty, because after Bennett, we got nobody. So.
Yeah.
So we'll roll right on into the Heisman. This has been an interesting topic this year. When they announced the winner, I was a little bit surprised. I didn't actually have Caleb Williams from USC taking it. I was leaning more towards Stroud.
Reporters.
Yeah,
How many voters are there, Quinn?
There's like 1,000.
Too many.
2,000.
way too many.
800, 1,000. It's all these little
2,000
people
voters.
that don't watch stinking football.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, honestly, yes, Caleb Williams, you take him off USC and they're average. How many runs did he add for him just like they did hit at OU?
Yeah.
But you take Duggan off TCU and they're average too.
Yeah, because how many
You can say the
times?
same thing about TCU that you did for Caleb Williams. Only difference is he plays in LA and Duggan plays in Fort Worth.
How many times did Max Duggan put the Horned Frogs on his back and carry him to a win?
If anybody watched a Baylor game,
For sure.
or if anybody watched the Big 12 championship game, he didn't quite make it in the Big 12 championship game because a bad call by the coach. It wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all coach right there.
He kept him in the game.
Yeah, he did. Every game. And I'm not a TCU fan.
I wanted Duggan to win,
I
but
like
I
Duggan.
knew Williams was going to win.
Yeah.
You just had that feeling.
I pulled an article that I want to run by you guys. I'm not going to read through it all. It's just a little bit here and there. But I got curious. What were they looking at when they elected Caleb Williams to win? Because this, from recent memory, this is probably the most controversial Heisman Trophy award that I can remember. Because everybody's talking about it. Apparently, the reporters wanted Caleb Williams to win or whoever voted. So basically, this article talks about, despite avoiding multiple bad performances, something that can't be said enough it's basically the competition between C.J. Stroud and Caleb Williams was the chances of winning the Heisman. Basically, a breakdown of Caleb Williams' performances for September, October, and November, basically his totals. For the month of September, he had a QBR of 162.5. He had 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 66% completion. At that point, he had 1,054 yards, 100 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. October, his QBR went up to 168. He had 1,300 yards passing, 149 yards rushing, 1 rushing touchdown. November, his QBR went up to 174. Then he was at a little bit over 1,400 yards, which I don't know how that translates. They had him at almost 1,400 in October and then a little over 1,400 in November. And I was like, I'm pretty sure he had more than that.
Well, they're talking probably for that month.
The whole
Yeah.
month.
They said his worst performance of the season was the win against Oregon State back on September the 24th.
I saw that game.
He had 198 passing yards, which was his lowest. And then they went on to talk about C.J. Stroud stats for basically just the month of November. I'm like, so you're going to compare 3 months to 1 month. November, C.J. Stroud was at 135 at a QBR, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a completion rate of 58%. They also compared Max Duggan, who finished the regular season with a QBR of 80%, and he had 1,600 yards at the end of the season.
The
So,
whole season, though? 1,600?
yeah, that's what they're saying.
It's not that much.
So they go off to close this article, and I'm going to read this last article because this is the last part of this article is what kind of like, I was like, whatever. So basically they're saying, finally, the Heisman voters think about the narrative when picking their winner. Before Williams arrived at USC, the Trojans were 3-6 in 2021. They hadn't experienced an 8-win season since 2019. A sleeping giant had finally awoken with Williams ending USC's woes since Pete Carroll left. That is why he won the Heisman Trophy.
I think they said it in their statement, but they missed the picture. Pete Carroll left and Lincoln Riley came in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In between, it was a bunch of garbage. And so is it quarterback? Is it coach?
Both.
50-50. But we know what Caleb Williams did with OU when Riley was there. And so, I mean, come on. I mean, they didn't retool that much. They're here from last year. And so you're playing in the Pac-12, which has Oregon State, which ran them close. And then Oregon State put the whoop on Florida. We saw that a while ago. And so, yeah, C.J. Stroud, average this year. He was
He was
good.
worse than last year.
Yeah, he was way worse this year than it was last
Exactly.
year.
Stetson Bennett, all right. He and Hooker, if he hadn't gotten hurt, he'd have been there.
Hooker probably would have won.
Well, earlier on in this article, I didn't want to read it all because it's a severely long article. It talked about had Hooker not gotten hurt, he would have given Caleb Williams a run for his money.
And Blake Corum should have been there. Bijan should have been
think
there. Drake May should have been there.
I think if we have a 10-win season, I think Bijan wins it in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I really do. Or
What
he gets
about
second.
What about Blake Corum? I'm a Bijan fan. Don't get me wrong, But Blake Corum was just as good as Bijan as far as stats go. But they play in the Big Ten.
I think competition though plays a factor in that.
It should, but these people apparently don't watch football. They just look at stats.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all. According to that's what I was pulling out of this article is all it is. And I don't even remember where I pulled this article from, but it's basically stat driven. They don't watch football.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, his numbers are higher than this number, so we're all going to vote for this guy. The reason I didn't want Caleb Williams to win is because I don't like his antics. I don't like him as a player. He's got a bad attitude.
Or his fingernails.
He's got a bad attitude. And to me, he personifies what you shouldn't be as a college football player.
Sure.
And he hasn't, and in my eyes, he hasn't actually earned the right to act that way.
Yeah.
Because you got trounced in your conference championship game. So
routed for sure.
Yeah. And I haven't heard, do we know if he's going to the draft or is he coming back next year?
He's got another year. He has to stay.
He's a
sophomore.
He has to, oh yeah, that's right. He is. I forgot about that. So,
but I mean, like you said, Utah put the hurt on him twice.
And I'm like, how did that not factor in?
Oh, that's all right.
But you had Max Duggan right there behind him. I held on for hope for Max Duggan because that kid, he's just a workhorse.
I think we're discussing exactly why so many people don't care about the Heisman anymore. Mm-hmm. It's not what it used to be.
Yeah, and I saw something on Twitter the other day, and I should have pulled it down, but I didn't. But it had like it was talking about the Heisman and who was the greatest Heisman Trophy winner of all time, and it had I forget who was on there now. I can see the picture in my head, but I don't remember who. I think
the list is long, dude. It's crazy.
Wasn't Manning a Heisman?
No,
but he was a finalist. He just didn't get it picked.
Yeah, no Manning.
Tim Tebow.
Yeah, Tim Tebow was on there.
He won two of them though.
Earl Campbell was on there. I remember him being on there. There was
Herschel Walker,
Barry Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, it was like all these old players, and I'm like, why are you comparing the old players to new players? It's two different eras, two different styles of game. Yeah, and that's when the Heisman Trophy actually mattered.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't just a piece of hardware you took home.
No.
I think it was after Sam Bradford won the Heisman. I think that's when it really just went downhill. In my opinion.
I can agree with that. But yeah, and then when he got it,
I'm a Texas guy, but Colt should have won that one too.
Yeah, he should have.
And Vince Young.
Yeah,
2 ripoffs.
But yeah,
isn't this a fun podcast? Brett's not here to.
I know.
Zaggy garbage.
we can talk Longhorns all day and not get yelled at. Or called names.
Johnny Football was a good Heisman winner.
Johnny Football was a legit Heisman. No question.
Yeah, he was good.
And then after that, the power went to his head, and Johnny was Johnny.
Football goes that way sometimes. So
crazy.
But yeah, so there it is. Yay, Caleb Williams. You won the Heisman.
Congratulations.
No one cares.
Too bad you're not in the playoff though. So
yeah, and it was funny because
that's what he said in the speech though. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, he got up there on the speech, and it was like he told basically that he didn't win the trophy because of himself. He won it because of your lineman or because of his lineman. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right there. They kept you upright most of the time.
Yeah. It wasn't that bad of a speech, I'll say.
No.
A good speech.
It was better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. It wasn't as selfish as I thought it would be.
So we'll move on from that since that's over with and done. We got a few, at least for us Texas fans, hurt hearts of
crying.
Bijan Robinson declared for the draft. They're looking at him at number 5.
No hurt heart, all class.
Yeah.
Projecting him to go to Philadelphia Eagles. No.
There you go, Cowboys fans. Get ready for it.
As much as I don't like the Eagles, perfect fit with Jalen.
Oh, my gosh. In that system.
Two class guys.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what he can do in the NFL because I feel like he's going to be the same kind of running back that Marshawn Lynch. Who's the guy that used to play for the Cowboys? I can't think of who.
Marion Barber?
Yes. Like he's going to be that.
I don't know if he has that power, though.
I think he's going to develop it, though, because a lot of running backs that come out that don't have that power develop it. Aaron Jones for the Green Bay Packers, prime example. He played for UTEP, was the same kind of runner that Bijan was, and has just exploded onto the scene as this. You're going to catch him and try to tackle him, and then by the fourth quarter, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. I feel like Bijan's going to do that. I feel like I'm hoping that he blows up, outruns everybody.
Yeah.
Big thing on the message boards last couple of days has been, they left the team, whatever else. Him and DeMar was shown. Roshan Johnson aren't playing the Alamo Bowl. I'm going, dude, this ain't the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
This is not a New Year's Six Bowl. Let them go, man. They've done all they could do. Plus, it lays the foundation for next year for the guys stepping up. They're ready to go. Lay the foundation. If coaches handle it right, it'll be a good stepping stone for next year. So these guys have done their job. I'm proud for them. Max Duggan's going. Of course, it's been his 6th year. It's been his COVID year, and so
but he's still playing in the bowl, obviously.
And they're
playoffs. Yeah,
they're still saying that he's going to be one of the first quarterbacks taken.
Yeah, I don't. Man, I tell you, I
don't know about that.
As much as I don't like to compare people as far as what they do, he reminds me so much of Dalton And
Yeah.
not necessarily looks at everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the same kind of player. And Dalton's been a great journeyman player.
He was good at Cincinnati
And
for a while.
you know, I hope he does better than
Well,
that.
I've heard that comparison to Andy Dalton, and then I've heard somebody the other day compare him. I think I mentioned it last week on our show or the last podcast that I've heard people compare him to Josh Allen, not in the type of way that he plays, but just his size and that swagger that he has.
How big is he? Is he
I don't think
6'4"?
he's that big.
I don't think he's not 6'4", but I'm
Probably 6'2".
yeah, he's 6'2", but he's
Josh
He
Allen.
reminds me a
He's
lot
thick.
of Colt McCoy, honestly.
Yeah.
'cause he's
I saw
gritty.
Josh Allen in that snow game the other day, and he just ran over people.
He's unreal.
dude, that snow game looked like so much fun. I would have loved to play in a game like
throwing
that.
the snowballs. At the
Speaking of,
to
did you
that.
see that Jackson State, they were playing in a game, I guess it was their last game where it snowed, and all the players got in trouble on the sideline because they were laying in the snow making snow
Oh,
angels.
my goodness. That's funny.
They had never seen snow at Jackson State.
Yeah.
I don't know where they were playing, but I mean, it was
funny.
almost Buffalo-esque snow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was deep, so it was funny.
I know.
And then those guys at the Buffalo game got in trouble because they were throwing snowballs onto the field.
Yeah.
Oh, the people in the
The
stands.
fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said, we're gonna charge Buffalo a penalty if you continue to do this.
But I mean,
People are
hey,
dumb.
Hitting refs, I can't. You know, that's not right.
So,
No, that's not.
That's almost Philadelphia like.
yeah, throwing batteries.
And then we got Bo Nix returning for another year.
Good choice.
Yeah,
That's smart.
He finally had a good
He's
year
not
last
an
year.
NFL type quarterback.
he had a good year last year. He had an okay year this year, and I guess maybe he's thinking if he has a better year next year that run for the NFL draft will up his stock a little
well,
bit.
this year
No
probably
doubt.
has been his best year so far.
This year was the best year because last year at Auburn was kind of iffy, and I think
So-
it'll help. I think it'll help because they give him one more year in the system up there, and also it will.
They'll get some recruits in
yeah.
because this is the
Seniors.
coach's first year, so next year will be a second year. They'll get some
Yeah.
recruits going too. They did lose that commit from the quarterback Moore, the 5-star that was going to go to Oregon.
Yeah.
And after he said he's returning, he decommitted and committed to UCLA.
Didn't
I'll take
Ohio
Moore.
State lose a big quarterback commit too?
24
Raiola doing
Yeah.
Raiola.
from I think Utah or something like that.
Yeah, he backed out of Ohio State. I like Bo Nix. I know most people don't, but
Mhm.
I think
He's scrappy.
he is scrappy, and that's what I like about
He's
it.
like a Duggan-esque.
Yeah.
He's Duggan-esque.
He was a legacy though, playing under too much pressure at Auburn.
Yeah,
I'm glad he went somewhere else for his
Yeah,
sake.
his dad.
he looked like this year he was actually having fun playing football,
Yeah, exactly.
and so having high hopes for
Especially
him.
those
And
uniforms.
yeah, I wonder what uniforms they're going to come up with next year.
It'd be like one of the Texas legacies coming back as a high prospect. And
Yeah.
Colt McCoy's son.
It's
You know, if
crazy.
he has a son. Or
Yeah.
if he had, I don't know.
And then, like you said, Overshown's hitting the draft too. So,
that'd be good. Good for them.
so let me ask you this: we're going to play the what if game. If Texas had a 10-win season, went into the playoffs, do you think the players that declared for the draft right now would still declare, or would they play in the
They'd play.
playoffs?
They're playing.
They'd play.
Yeah,
Think
they're
so?
playing. Oh, yeah.
Everyone else does.
Everyone will playing. Yeah,
Championship.
because you're in the if they're in if they're in the Sugar Bowl, New Year's Six Sugar Bowl, they're playing. This is the Alamo Bowl. Don't play.
Yeah.
Don't play.
Yeah, don't
It's
play
the
in Alamo
Poulon Weed
Bowl.
Bowl of Texas.
That's the best
And
bowl game
they-
name ever.
But they've been there forever. You know, they played the Alamo Bowl 2 of the last 3 years. So
Yeah.
but who
4
cares?
to the last 5, I think.
We were hoping to go to somewhere Cheez-It Bowl just to have something different.
But the good thing is you do have home field advantage.
Oh yeah, 90
And we
miles
need that
away.
against Washington because Washington is a good
they're
team. They're
legit.
10-2. Their quarterback actually got 8th in the Heisman race.
Aren't they
Yeah.
the
Right
first
above
one? They're the first
Bijan.
one out of New Year's Six Bowl, right? They're the first
Mhm.
one to drop out. So yeah,
Yeah,
They're
that'll be-
legit. That's gonna be a good game.
yeah. It's
the
I think,
best non-New Year's Six Bowl.
and
It is.
the thing about it is you have both teams have pretty stout offenses, pretty stout defenses. I'm going to go on record saying it's probably going to be almost like a TCU game.
And
How-
yeah, it will. And
How it's just going to be down in the trenches. They're fighting
I
for
thi-
every yard.
I think, like a lot of people are predicting, I think Quinn's going to step out this game and really show his growth of
If he can get
of-
away from that defensive line, yeah, because
Yeah.
those outside rushers for Washington,
Yeah.
they are quick. I'm
Yeah.
talking.
The
Who's
good
it?
thing is, though, our line has been developing,
Kelvin Banks.
and
is
they're
a beast.
all sophomores and freshmen, so
They'll be fine.
we haven't had any linemen opt out, thank goodness, or that'd be worrisome.
Yeah, your big players, Robinson,
Yeah,
Overshown, Roshan. Are they the only 3 that
That's
are
it.
opting out?
it's all 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's what 3 out of 60 some odd
Mhm.
players.
Yeah.
The bad thing is you're losing 70%
Well, I don't
of
know.
your offense in Robinson.
Is Deshaun Jameson opting out too?
I haven't heard on
I'm not
him.
sure.
He
I'm
might
not
be. He
worried
might be
about that
opting out,
either.
but I'm not either. We got backfield.
Yeah,
But here's the question I got for you before we get off to college: which game is better, Texas and Washington, or Alabama, Kansas State?
Oh, Texas, Washington for sure. Because like I said last time, after the season he had, Saban's not going to lose a bowl game.
I wouldn't want to be Kansas State.
Yeah.
That's what
No,
I'm saying.
no.
Bryce
it's-
Young is going to play.
Yeah, and Will Anderson.
So Alabama is going to run them
Oh yeah,
21 plus, I think.
oh yeah. It's going to be.
But Kansas State, I don't know, man.
they hang in there.
It's Kansas State.
I think it's going to be a bloodbath.
They play good in the weirdest games. They're
Well,
always
this is
tight.
Alabama at New Orleans. That's almost a home field advantage too.
After a not so great Nick Saban season.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Will Howard, I don't know about him. He's
killed Texas
decent.
season.
He's not great.
So who are we replacing Bijan with?
Jonathan Brooks.
He'll be solid.
He's a good running
He's
back.
out of
Hallettsville.
Hallettsville, right here in East Texas.
He broke
yeah,
the
that's right.
record. He
He's
had
really good.
83 touchdowns his senior year.
Golly, that's a lot of touchdowns in high school.
And
He's played several games this year and
4,000
cleanup duty
rushing.
and done really well.
he has the most yards per game out of all the running backs.
Who's
He has
behind him?
Had the least carry. Jaden Blue.
Have we seen him this year?
Yeah, and he'd be good too. He's a
I
little.
remember
scat
seeing
back.
him.
He's good. He was like the third in the state last year. He's good.
Mhm.
Well, I'm on.
He's a little smaller, but he'd be good.
Yeah.
And then we got Cedric Baxter coming. He's going to be the monster.
Yeah, I'm excited about that guy coming in. Because you got him and Arch Manning coming in and
Anthony Hill,
Anthony Hill.
John Tate Cook.
That team next year is going to be.
Future is looking bright. We're gonna go to the Texas OU game again next year. I'm gonna go ahead and save it up now.
We better say it was gonna be like twice the cost next year.
Let's take a show trip. We'll drag Brett along.
But
We'll put him in an
again,
A&M shirt.
I'm just going out on a limb, and I'm saying Quinn is gonna that year 1 to year 2 progression is gonna
Heisman
be,
race.
It's gonna be
Heisman
pretty
race.
significant in my opinion, and
Yeah.
he's gonna get better. And again, we only played 9 games this year. He
Yeah.
missed 3-4 games, so.
Well, that's like, that you hear that, he's an inexperienced quarterback. He's
He is
he is a very inexperienced quarterback. I can't say that word. I'm having trouble with that one. But I mean, because he played what, maybe one game at Ohio State, if any.
He
He
handed
got
it
it
off
for
twice.
one
Handed it
snap.
off twice.
He handed it off
snap.
twice, yeah,
And
then came to Texas and became the guy.
But he skipped his senior year.
Yeah,
to go to Ohio State, yeah. But you got to think his junior year, he played like 3 games.
Hernia surgery.
He played like the first
Yeah.
2, missed out, and came back the last 2 games of playoffs. Played the state semi and then played the state final. So he played like 4 games his junior year. So he hasn't really played since his sophomore
Yeah.
year.
It's crazy.
So it was like 2 years he missed of playing football.
yeah, and that's like I was talking to a buddy of mine over the weekend, and he was like, "Man, I don't know if I want Quinn Ewers back. I want Arch Manning." I was like, "Well, hold
No,
on,
no,
you
no.
got to think about it." I was like, "He handed the ball off twice,
Yeah.
Ohio State, comes to Texas, and they say, 'Hey, you're going to be the guy.'"
And it's a hard system.
That's a lot of pressure for somebody his age.
And he has to learn Sark's very complicated NFL style
Yes,
system.
absolutely.
you can't leave till you're a junior.
Yeah.
Arch came here knowing he's going to sit his redshirt freshman year,
To learn the system.
play 2 years, and then he can go.
Yeah.
And to learn the system, to sit, to see, to come in for 3 games and mop up duty, because you can play 4 games without burning a red shirt. He'll
Yep.
do that. And so
Texas is going to be stacked for at least the
I'm
next
telling you.
3 or 4 years.
it's coming.
And we're
baby.
starting
It's
to
coming.
run the state now. A lot of in-state recruits. I saw a statistic on the state championship MVPs this past week of
Yeah.
like the 5A, 6A, and we got 3 of the high-profile state guys
Oh, nice.
out of all. So A&M ran it last year by money, and we're running it this next year. We're going to be running it for a while now, I think.
I feel like Sark has a lot to do with that, though.
He's a great guy. He's
I mean, he-
very open about his past and overcoming his past. And that's just awesome with people. He's not arrogant.
No, he's not. Thank goodness.
Like the last coach was.
And you go in there.
Remember the
He doesn't have to outsmart
And like
anybody.
Colorado's current coach is.
Dion. Oh,
Man, have you been seeing some of the press conferences with that guy? Basically, he's putting his son at starting quarterback. And the last press conference I had, he had another son that was supposed to be playing free safety. And then he was like, "Well, I'm not so sure he's going to be starting there because, he's made me mad or whatever." And I'm like, so you're basically putting all your players on blast, telling them, "Hey, you're not getting the starting spot. My kids are getting it."
oh yeah.
It's ridiculous.
He's going to have a rude awakening, I think. We'll see.
Yeah. So,
But he is in the Pac-12,
and it is Colorado. So,
And we're talking college football because the NFL is not very good right now for Cowboy fans.
It's boring.
Or Packer fans. They did win.
Hey, they are
Packers
making
did
a
win
run.
last night. Okay?
They're making a run.
We will get into that here in just a second because we're fixing to roll over into NFL. And like we said at the beginning of the show, this is a short show because there's not a whole lot going on right now with college football. We've made the transition into bowl games that don't really matter to whatever. So we're going to run through just a couple things in the NFL. The Cowboys got outdone by Jacksonville.
After barely squeaking by the Texans.
I forgot about the Texans.
What a Cowboy-esque way to lose the game, huh?
But I think actually, like I said, they squeaked by the Texans, so it's kind of building up or building down.
Yeah.
Well, they looked bad against the Colts in the first half.
What was the score against the Texans?
27-23. We barely pulled it out. In the end, it
Last
was
second
a tight game.
miracle.
And then the Jacksonville debacle, which everybody is wanting to get on Dak. He had a decent game. That last interception was not his fault.
Have you seen how many interceptions he's thrown?
The receiver dropped the last one.
Yeah, he did.
But he is not the guy that's going to get you into that championship. I mean,
I'll be honest with you. Y'all know I don't watch Cowboy games unless they're losing, and then we happened to flip through that one. I was like, hey, look, they're losing, or it was close. No, they weren't because we caught it right about the time that Dallas drove down, scored that touchdown to take the lead. And I'll tell you, the boneheaded play of that game was the very last pass that they threw.
Yeah, the long pass.
So stupid.
I'm like, you have the lead.
3rd and 8, and you're going to throw a 50-yard pass
with less than 2 minutes left.
Yeah. Run the ball.
Run the ball.
If you're going to throw a little crossing route, like quick. Don't do it. If you're going to throw the ball, don't throw a 50-yard pass.
That's Pee Wee football. That's Pop Warner.
But I tell you what, though, Trevor Lawrence put that team on his back and brought them back to that game.
He's finally growing into it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Good for him.
He had a little slip up when he took off and went to juke that guy. And that's a learning experience, though.
High and tight.
He threw 4 TDs, 1 interception, so he played way better than Dak. 319 on our defense, which is supposed to be, they kind of falling off right now. So
I saw a stat on Dak's interceptions for the last 6-7 games. It would shock you how many
he's thrown. 2 a game.
9.
Wow.
Next nearest guy is like 3.
That's nuts.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and because I thought when Trevor Lawrence took off, I was like, oh, it's over. Jacksonville's going to seal this one. And then the look on that guy's face when he realized that he fumbled the ball coming off to the sideline, I felt bad. Like, my heart hurt for that guy.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, dang. But then when he realized they were getting the ball back, just how his look changed, because the camera panned over and looked at him, and you could just immediately see his face change. Yeah. And I was like, Jacksonville's going to take it.
There was another game Sunday where a guy fumbled in the last play of the game in overtime, and they ended up losing. I forgot.
That was the Patriots and the Raiders.
Yeah, Patriots and the Raiders.
That was the craziest ending I've ever seen. Ramondre Stevenson.
That was a different one than that.
Oh, really? Ramondre Stevenson is running it, and he's gotten like 20 yards gain already, and then he pitches it back to his teammate, and his teammate is like scrambling and juking and jiving, and then he turns around and just chunks it like 20 yards behind him, trying to throw it to his next teammate, but it gets picked off. And then the guy, I think it's a defensive lineman or linebacker, he catches it, and he just trucks Mac Jones, like buries him in the ground and takes off, and they win the game. If they would have just took a knee, they would have gone to overtime. I mean, Bill Belichick, I would not want to be a player in that locker room after that game. It's like Nick Saban.
Old sweatshirt.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
Jabba the Hutt.
So with the loss to Jacksonville and the game coming up with Philly, if they lose to Philly, does that really mean anything? Because, I mean, technically they're in the playoffs already.
Playoff spot. But Cowboys are going to do what Cowboys do. They're either going to win one playoff game and then lose, or they'll lose the first one.
Yeah.
Until they get a new quarterback, that's not going to change. Dak Prescott, I love him as a person. He's not good enough to win in the playoffs.
I'll be honest with you. I would have stuck with Cooper Rush. I would have rode that hot hand because he was having, at that point until Dak came back, he was having a heck of a season.
He didn't throw too many picks until that last game.
No. And that may have been what sealed the end.
On him because he knew Dak came back
and
was sitting there ready to go, that he probably just felt some more pressure instead of feeling free. But we definitely need to draft someone or trade for someone.
Yep, for sure. And then last night's game, Green Bay versus I did. Of course I did. But all I want to know is the team that played last night, where have you been all season? That was the best complete game on both sides of the ball that Green Bay's had all season long.
Well, I mean, look at the rushing attempts for both running backs. You got 17 and 11.
Yeah.
Feeding the running back finally.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers was on point with his receivers. There were a couple miscues.
Besides that one to Christian Watson when he was trying to be a little sly and rub that shoulder, you know what I'm saying?
That little signal
elbow.
the
Like,
elbow rub.
Get that? I mean,
They get it though, because Aaron Rodgers will tell. I mean, he's been in interviews.
Yeah.
They go over that stuff in practice when they come in. Hey, you got to learn these cues because he doesn't do verbal cues like most quarterbacks do.
Omaha.
Yeah,
he was rubbing his elbow.
I mean, and some of his stuff is subtle. Like there's one where he reaches up and it looks like he's scratching his neck. I think it was Jordy Nelson he used to do that with. And
It's like baseball.
him and Jordy Nelson. I mean, those two were mind readers with each other.
Yeah.
He'd reach up and it was like that guy must have like some dry skin or something. Get him some lotion, and then all of a sudden Jordy Nelson is 40 yards downfield in front of everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I felt bad for him because he took a berating from from Aaron Rodgers for not catching that cue, because had he made that cut and turned around, that was touchdown.
Yeah. That's what he said. If he wants to catch touchdown passes, watch the sign.
Yeah.
He'll learn that though. He won't do that again. But he wasn't looking though too.
Yeah.
He wasn't looking. You know, it's not like he was looking and just missed it.
Did you see the end of the game? Oh my gosh, I lost my mind track here. Where the ref threw the penalty for not lined up.
Oh yeah,
Redskins and the Giants. I thought
they had a bunch of terrible calls.
The ref gave him the signal, "You're good," and then throws a flag on him.
Oh, Commanders, I'm sorry.
Chump.
We're gonna be woke, you know.
It'll always be the Redskins.
It's always Washington Redskins.
Well, our show just got canceled.
Sorry.
Hey,
there were a lot of bad calls though. I mean, there were guys getting
the PI in the end zone.
He got
How do you
manhandled.
not call that?
Absolutely manhandled.
Well, it's rigged.
Big 12
it
refs.
is rigged, man.
Well, they had one. They had one in the Packer game last night too.
It's crazy.
Where the receiver did like a back cut, and it was basically there was like a group of people. There was two Rams receivers and two
I saw that one too.
Two Packer defenders.
Mm-hmm.
One of the receivers did a cutback, and when he did, he hit the Packer defender. And then the Packer defender fell forward into the Rams player, and they called illegal chop block.
Exactly.
And I'm like, you were standing right there. How do you see that as a chop block? He got pushed in the back, and then, so it was ridiculous. But
can't rely on the refs nowadays.
No, you can't. Absolutely can't. But it was a good game. I was excited. I was like, you know what? If you keep playing like that, you're still not going to make the playoffs, but it gives me hope for next year.
Yes.
So who knows what's going to happen? Because I think we have to beat Miami, and then we have to beat Minnesota, and then one other team I think Detroit has to lose at least one game for us to make the playoffs. And there's
playing Bon Jovi football.
Yeah, and it's like
living on a prayer.
The Lions, they've been on a hot streak lately. I like them a lot too.
And so I saw a stat this morning on Packers Twitter that there's like a 47% chance that they'll make the playoffs. I'm like, yeah, but there's a bigger chance you're not gonna make the playoffs. So
for sure, don't get your hopes up.
Yeah,
like a Cowboy fan.
So looking forward to the rest of what is it? 3 more games left, or is it 2 more games left?
I think there's 2 or
left.
3.
2, so it's week 16 and 17.
Yeah. Dallas has Philly, Green Bay has Miami, and then we have Tennessee, and then Green Bay has Minnesota.
The Miami game I feel good about.
Yeah.
Minnesota not so much.
Comeback Kirk, you got
Miami. I don't know. You got to watch them, man. They're always good.
Yeah, Tua's been hot as of late.
And you're at Miami. You're not at Green Bay.
And the Packers don't do good in the heat.
They started hot in the beginning, but they've kind of fallen off recently. The Miami Dolphins have. So
well, here's my hope, and that is because of injuries. A lot of the Packers draft picks have started playing on defense. There was a guy last night making only his second start. That guy played like a beast. He's going to continue to play because of injury. That defense looked. I mean, there were times that the defensive backs looked terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping with that defense they can pressure Tua, because they pressured the heck out of Sam Bradford last night.
Sam Bradford played?
Or not Sam Bradford.
I was about to say.
Baker Mayfield.
What are we in 2014?
I was reading an article about Sam Bradford.
I'll be Brett right now. No,
plus my cold medication is.
I know. I want it to.
Got my brain all fuzzy. What day is it?
I did forget one thing. We'll talk about this. I got one more thing to add.
So if the playoffs started today, we're gonna play this game.
Just a quick game, real fast.
Yeah. So they have.
Who cares? We know Buffalo and Philadelphia.
Yeah, they're gonna.
Kansas City are gonna be in it.
I think it's gonna be just like that. I think it's gonna be Buffalo and Philly
Yeah.
because
Okay.
Buffalo has gotten hot again.
Kansas City, though, has Buffalo's number.
Can I say this again?
Sure.
They shouldn't have expanded the playoffs.
No, I liked it the way it was.
I mean, play in. It's a playoffs because you won in.
Yeah,
If you don't win, you don't get to go.
exactly. I don't like teams with 6 and 8 records getting into the playoffs.
Washington.
And there's too many conferences or too many divisions.
Yeah.
Like it was before with the East and the West, and that's it. Bingo. And then you got the conferences.
Too much in the NFL, too little in the college football world.
Yes.
It's the
Yes.
participation trophy world, though.
It is.
Everybody gets a chance.
I know.
But I mean, you think about it though. It's like one of these days, one of those 6 and 8 teams wins a Super Bowl.
Here's the thing: does Washington Commanders have a chance to win a Super Bowl?
No.
Okay. Does the Dolphins have a chance to win a Super Bowl?
No.
Do the Bengals have a
I
chance to
don't
win a
know.
Super
More
Bowl?
than Dolphins has more of a chance than Patriots.
Yeah.
And
I know.
also, the
Yeah.
Ravens are garbage because they're somehow leading their division,
I know.
but they are worse than the Dolphins.
Yeah, they are way
The
worse.
Vikings
Dolphins,
aren't even
you
in
know.
there.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. They're at the bottom.
They're
They're
second.
playing the Giants.
Oh,
the
I'm
Giants.
sorry.
Yeah, it's hard to see because they like
I was
cut
on
the logos up.
Wrong side there. But I was thinking, who was I was thinking?
You should take the top 4 teams out of the NFC and AFC. Who cares about divisions? Throw those out.
Yeah.
Just take the top 4 teams.
It's
then
simple.
play
It's
that.
simple as that.
Yeah.
And then well, I would take the top 5 because your number 1 on each side is going to get
Get
that
a
bye week.
True. You can
So
get
then
that.
2, 3, 4, and 5 could play each other.
Yeah.
The Giants aren't going to make anywhere either.
No.
It's a waste of a game.
But you got, what is it, 7 teams? Yeah, seven teams on both sides.
Too many. Half
Didn't-
14 teams, that's
half it up.
Yeah.
3.5 on each.
Well, they have the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. Didn't they play playoffs last year?
no, we played the first game of the season.
That's what it
both
was.
years. But the Buccaneers are terrible. Right
Yeah, I don't think the Buccaneers are
They've
going
gotten
to.
worse.
They couldn't beat Dallas, and Dallas is not great.
They have gotten way worse.
And then we got to play
I
Philadelphia.
mean, you
after
got-
that,
you-
so.
Tom Brady got a divorce.
Buccaneers got beat by a third-string quarterback.
Well, Tom Brady's 45 years old too. So
I mean, there's that. So. But yeah.
all right,
What,
anything?
what were you wanting to get into?
Army-Navy game. We can't talk about that without talking about the
yeah.
Army-Navy game. That's the one where the kid fumbled on the goal line, and my heart went out to him.
Yeah, that was.
I didn't see that one.
Crazy.
It was an overtime, and the kid got the ball hit out right at the goal line for the Navy. And then it was a great game.
Is that the one where they wore like the NASA uniforms,
Yes.
and then the Army won like wore the armored division?
Yes.
Yes.
I did see that on
was
Twitter.
sweet.
Those uniforms were nice.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Anytime the service guys get together, it's so awesome.
I think that game should be played
early.
earlier in the year.
No, it's got to be. It's its own week. Nothing else is playing.
Oh, it's got its own week.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
everybody
See, I
can
didn't know
watch
that.
it.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
It's
I didn't
just
realize
it's
that.
after the whole
the
season's
president
done.
is usually available for that game, but
No,
The president didn't even know where he was at that day.
It was
so.
after his bedtime.
Yeah. Kickoff was. At
He would have walked
12:30.
into a bush anyway.
They
So.
put a lid on it at 1 that day.
So yeah.
But anyway, yeah, the Army Navy game is, of all the football things we talk about, that's always just a cool thing. Just a cool thing.
Can I talk about one more thing before we move on to the
Sure.
to the biblical topics that I have kept my mouth shut this entire time and have not said anything about? The World Cup.
Dad hates soccer. I don't mind soccer. And
I don't usually watch
World
soccer.
Cup.
Yeah, I don't usually watch soccer until World Cup rolls around. And this one was okay.
Messy though.
I'm glad
You've-
Argentina won. You know, that's only their third time winning
Yeah.
ever. Third time winning.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they won.
You don't know a lot of things about
All I know is it takes a black and white ball and they're kicking it.
It wasn't black and white. It was gold.
So they've won. They won in 1978. The most recent time they won was 1986,
Yeah.
and then they
It's
won
been a
this
long
year.
time.
So it was fun to watch. They had some very controversial technology this year.
The offsides.
Yeah, the virtual reality offsides, where it was calling like they basically, it was like almost NFL-esque,
Mhm.
where they would make a call up to a booth and be like, "Hey, was this offsides?" And they would look at this VR machine and be like, "Yeah." A lot of the times that VR machine was wrong, and they still called it.
They also had a microchip in the ball. which
Oh, yeah, 'cause
the
they were
NFL
monitoring
needs
stuff.
To do.
That was neat.
NFL needs to do that.
So
So-
there's that. As we know, I was rooting against the U.S. team because of what they did to honor the LGBTQ plus with their flag and changing the USA badge to their flag color instead of red, white, and blue. And it was neat because I don't remember who he was from. It was a small country player that they had asked about what they thought the U.S. was doing. And this guy was like, it's not about politics. It's not about race, creed, religion. He said it's about pitting the best and the best of the world to
Mhm.
see who wins it. That's all it's about.
Yep.
There you go. There's my World Cup talk. I'm done, Craig. You can check back in now.
He's like, yeah, I'm out of here.
All I got to say is this. I think the Babylon Bee run a thing this last week that said, okay, America can breathe now. We can all go back to knowing that we hate soccer.
You know, I saw somebody posted something on Twitter, and it was that drag show, TV show, and they go, this is the U.S.'s World Cup.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
stupid.
Anyway, that's the end of the World Cup talk. So we're going to move into the reason that we all, as Christians, celebrate Christmas.
Jesus.
You can lead us off?
Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah, my favorite story of all time about Christmas time is my dad was preaching to our Awana kids. We had about 150 kids there, and he was getting ready to talk about Jesus and Christmas, and said this. These are kids from 5th grade down to kindergarten. Said if it wasn't for this one guy, Santa Claus would not have a job.
Very true.
Yeah.
The kid said, yeah, Rudolph. He was serious. He wasn't meaning funny. He was serious. But that's the kind of world we live in now, is all the commercialism and all the stuff kind of takes away from what Christmas is really about. It's about the good news. The good news of Jesus. 300 Old Testament prophecies fulfilled in the birth, life, and death of Jesus. How awesome is that?
Wow.
If anybody needed any proof, Jesus could not crucify himself to the cross. I mean, he could have, he was God, but he didn't.
Yeah.
The Roman soldiers did at the behest of the Jewish government. He couldn't be born the way he was. All those things that he did happened because he was God. Just a couple of things before we move through here today, and that's this. First of all, God used ordinary people. Mary, a young lady who was just a faithful believer, God used her, and Joseph, her fiance, to parent Jesus. Think about the responsibility for a second about being the one to raise the Son of God. I mean, how
that's a scary task.
I mean, yeah, we got our own kids. Mine's sitting right over here, and it's like raising. It scares me to death to think about that. But they took that on. They were normal followers of God, and decided to do that. But it's about the message of hope brought by the angel. We can all remember Luke 2, where it talks about the angels that said, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people." She was talking to the shepherds. The first message of the gospel after the birth of Jesus came to shepherds. It didn't come to a king. It didn't come to those that were intellectually sound. It came to shepherds, normal, everyday people. How awesome is that?
Blue collar workers.
And what I like about that verse, it says, which shall be to all people.
That's it.
Anybody can be saved.
Everybody needs to be saved. Anybody can be saved, right?
That's right.
Trust in Jesus. How awesome is that? And the message is this: Jesus was born, the Messiah, the promised one, the Savior. But why was Jesus born?
To reconcile us.
He was born to die, wasn't he?
Yep.
To die so we could live again. He brings hope. That's pretty awesome. And so again, we saw it to the shepherds. We saw it to the apostles through the Apostle Paul, through Gentile believers. And for those who follow him, he brings us hope. In this world today, so many people are without hope. I saw a news article just before I came up here about a young boy that stabbed his grandmother and beat her with an iron skillet.
I saw that.
What in the world? His mom, not grandma. His mom.
Yeah.
I thought, what kind of world are we living in? A world with no hope, and drug addiction is at an all-time high. Alcohol abuse is there. Just all kinds of crazy things happening, not just in America, but around the world. And people need hope, and it's because of Jesus. And the choice is ours, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's right.
Is.
And whether you believe it or not, the choice is yours. But that choice changes your eternity. A choice changes where you're going to spend eternity. And so, again, Jesus came to give us hope and to bring us joy. And we think about all these Christmas words I've been preaching about on Sunday morning: hope, joy, peace, love. And ending Sunday on Christmas Day with Jesus. How awesome is that? To know that he is the only hope that we have. And we enjoy talking about football and talking about other things going on in our world. And we can get down on what's happening in America, and we should be sad about where things are happening. But we know that because of what Jesus has done we have hope, and this not in the world. It's not in who governs us. It's only because of what Jesus has done. So
Absolutely.
We have purpose too.
I did read one more thing, and and that's this: Christmas is on a Sunday. Be at church, because it's only happened now. From today, it happened 11 years.
Wow.
11 years.
Wow.
How old is Hudson going to be in 11 years?
21.
How crazy is
Whoa.
that? He's not going to get to be in church on Christmas until he's 21.
Yeah, that's
But
nuts.
he'll be in there this week. How awesome is that? So again, encourage you to be in church.
And I'll be 35.
That's scary.
I'll be 35.
And that's if this podcast gets out before.
you know what? I think the Lord's
Put the
coming
heat
back
on
before
DJ.
then.
Get this out before Christmas.
Oh, it'll be out. It'll be out probably Friday.
Yeah.
But I want to share a story that happened that, Craig, because you're a father, and it's those moments that you wonder if your child is getting what Christmas is actually about.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to do this without breaking into tears because it involves my dad, who passed away 5 years ago. We were decorating the Christmas tree, and the day that the year that Dad passed away, that first Christmas, Stephanie found this. I guess it's not really. It's like fake silver, but it's a 14-point buck head. Because Dad was an avid hunter. He was an avid outdoorsman. And so every year it takes center prominence on the tree. Not like at the top, but like in the middle. And so we were decorating the tree, and, Hudson, he's getting old enough to get involved in decorating the tree. And so he likes to, congregate ornaments all in one side. And my wife's like, no, we need to spread them out. And so we were decorating the tree, and I told him, I was like, well, my dad's, all the grandkids call Dad Daw. It's Irish for grandpa. And so I was like, where do you want to put Daw's ornament? And he goes, oh, I want to put it up top. And I was like, okay, let's put it up top. And then I have this this metal ornament that I don't know where I got it from, but it's a lighthouse. And on the top of the lighthouse, it has a cross. And there's I can't tell you the verse because I only look at that ornament once a year, which is terrible. But there's a verse on it. But it talks about Jesus. And then if you look at it, the way that it's cut, you can see Jesus inside the light at the lighthouse. I pulled this ornament out, and I looked at Hudson. I was like, where do you want to hang this one? And he goes, well, can we hang it beside Daw's ornament? I'm like, okay, why do you want to put it there? He goes, well, Daw's in heaven, Jesus is in heaven, and Jesus is the reason for Christmas. And I mean, that hit me right in the heart. I had to walk down the hallway because I didn't want my son to see me cry. But it was like one of those moments as a dad, you're like, holy cow, he's getting it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've come to you, we've had conversations like, well, I don't think he's getting it, But it's just in those small little moments, and, you always hear it out of the mouth of babes. It brings back, and he looks at me, and he goes on to expound on this thought that, Christmas, and he looks at me, and he says, Daddy, he said, Christmas is not about family. It's not about toys. It's not about presents. It's about Jesus. And I'm like, you got to stop.
That's good. That's good.
So
He's
that was,
listening in church.
yeah, he is.
That's what it's about.
And I told my wife later on that night, I was like, as much as he, we don't think he's paying attention. He's paying attention in church.
Well, the one thing too, it's important to get your kids at church on Sunday and Wednesday and every time it's open, because they do hear.
Yeah.
And the more that we can pour it over them, the more God can work in them. And that's what's awesome. And it makes a difference in their life tremendously. And it's already showing up.
Yeah.
How cool is that? And it's just awesome to see. And again, our kids are listening. Every time I ask a question on Sunday, I'll get an answer back from one of them. It's pretty awesome. Maybe Riley or Adriana or Abigail.
Or that one time,
Hudson.
Hudson answers, and then Stephanie slinks down in the pew.
I think it's great. They're listening. That's what's awesome. And so don't discount them being there, and they can draw on a page and listen and just, they'll get it, and ask them questions on the way home about what you think about this? What did Craig say here? And that way, if they didn't hear, they'll be able to, then next time they will hear.
Yep, absolutely.
It's pretty awesome. But yeah, this Christmas, this time of year is so awesome to share Jesus and share the love. And there's more love right now in our world as far as this time of year than any other time of year. And we have an opportunity to share that love with other people.
We absolutely do.
So I'm excited.
And I guess that's pretty much it for this week. Do we got anything else?
Put a bow on it, man.
Put a bow on it. I like it.
Phil and Jim, Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
It's been a quiet show without Brett here, though.
I know. It has been
Kind of calm.
very reserved.
So we're gonna call it a wrap. We will see you guys after the new year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
all of us at the Church Guys Podcast, we want to say thank you for taking the time to listen to our show. We want to wish every one of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. When we come back, it will be the first of the year. Our first show is going to be college football coming to a close. We'll look and see who was crowned the champion. We're also going to look at players coming into the draft and the transfer portal. NCAA basketball will be in full swing, and we'll be inching ever closer to the big dance and a lot more. Take this time with your family, enjoy it, but most importantly, we want you to remember the reason for the season. Like and subscribe. We wish to see you all next year. Merry Christmas to everyone, and remember to shine your light.